We started a company called BzzAgent, a word-of-mouth marketing firm with a really pissed-off-looking B logo. Like many startups, the idea was founded out of inspiration, passion, enthusiasm, and a healthy dose of creativity. When we started the business, we decided it was going to be something of a lifestyle company, a place where a couple good friends could get together, have a nice work-life balance, no titles, no corporate processes. Late nights gave us an excuse to eat pizza every day. And ultimately, we decided that it was about more than that. It was about this idea of creativity. We did things in the business intending to be creative, challenged each other to talk to clients like a pirate every day. But importantly, it's true, importantly, the entire business was about creativity. We wanted to take the model of marketing and creatively flip it on its head. For years, marketers had told us what to think, what to buy, what to try, and we wanted to change that so that consumers could really try products, have their actual experiences, tell their family and friends, and inform the marketplace in an effective way. As you can imagine, over time, the business grew and grew. We focused on hiring great people, we focused on profitability, we focused on partnerships, and in some ways, because of that, we lost our North Star. If Apple was built out of design, we were built out of creativity, and we believed we needed it to help this company succeed. So in 2003, we started a blog called Inside BzzAgent. And this wasn't any normal blog. What we were trying to do was be abnormally transparent to the market about what was happening inside a company the way most companies refuse to. We posted things like client presentations. We posted decisions about which executives to hire and let people vote on which right candidate was good for us. We posted what's here, which is a strategic evaluation of potential venture capital partners, which the VCs did not seem to like very much. In 2005, we took the idea to the next level with something called 90 Days of BzzAgent. And we invited an author, John Buttman, into our office for 90 days to write about what he saw and heard, to use the same transparency as a de facto reporter to the market. He wrote about executive conflict, growing pains, what to do with $13.8 million of venture capital money. And we found that outside of this, we had to continue to move on to instill this creativity in our business, but it ebbed and flowed. We could always find that corporate passion, right? The idea that we're going to build a great company, the idea that our work environment is going to be special. But our creative passion, breaking the ground of new ideas, innovating, everything else, we couldn't hold on to. I asked other entrepreneurs about this, and they said that as soon as profits enter the equation, that idea of creativity goes out the window. We felt it was the only way to attract great people to our business. It was the only way to create new rules for this idea of word of mouth so that it worked in the marketplace. So we set out to figure out how to build this into the fabric of our business and include corporate creativity as our challenge. In 2006, we started a project around this, and it pretty much utterly failed. It's great. The project was called 10 Days of BzzAgent. A little riff on the 90 Days with Buttman, we invited a painter, Seth Minkin, into our offices to paint what he saw every day. Rules were loose. He'd find an open desk, put down a drop cloth, and he'd start painting. He'd finish what he had for the day. We'd take a picture of it, post it to a blog, and auction off to the highest bidder. It was fun, it was frenetic, but it was full of total flaws that didn't make it work. It was like speed dating with just 10 days to fall in love. Right? We had one worker who complained she was allergic to the smell of paint and wouldn't walk within 300 feet of Seth. Our favorite day was a day when there was a really high post on the blog for a price for one of the paintings until our PR firm called us and asked us if they liked us jacking up the prices for other people. All right? Yeah, that was fun. The ultimate result, what we found was art itself was too polarizing in some ways. Some of the staff loved his art, some staff hated it, they couldn't figure out what to do with it, and ultimately people decided whether or not they wanted to be part of the project. So there was one moment though at the end of this, the 10th day, where somehow all 30 employees in the business began painting with Seth. One employee walked by, asked if they could pick up a brush. Seth said, sure, go right ahead. Another employee joined, and then it was like a crazed kindergarten class, and they output 16 bird paintings which hang on the wall of our offices, okay? The thing is, it was dynamic. The staff wanted the paintings. They talked about it for days. Clients would call and say, what type of shop are you running there? And then they'd spend the next half an hour wondering why their company wasn't doing the same. So we decided to try again with one moment of illumination. The idea was the staff liked the idea of being part of the process as opposed to just seeing the art itself. So the next challenge was a project called Bento Box. We decided we'd take 6 months, 180 days, and we'd let everybody around the business write about what was happening. Clients created posts, employees, Seth, writer John Buttman. My wife wrote a post about what it was like to deal with a distracted CEO all the time. Okay? The truth is, it was fun, it was enticing, but it was exhaustively complex. Some people loved it. Others people just said, I can't stand this. A few got upset at the occasional appearance of nudity in Seth's artwork. Don't do that anymore, okay? Yeah. So we decided we had to figure out how to solve this, what to do, and we looked at it as a whole and we said, you know what, this failed to bond the company. So we walked away, we said, we're tired, this was exhausting, maybe we should give up on this premise. Over the course of Bento Box, Seth had moved into the back of our offices and created a studio for himself where he painted from 9 to 5. He hung art on the walls, he became a frequent stop on office tours where people would let down their guard and talk with him. Employees bored, were looking for some inspiration, would walk back there, talk about art, think about things he might want to consider painting next. And the impact was felt both ways. Tiny bees started to appear in Seth's artwork. One employee, a sales rep, needed a pair of clown shoes and asked Seth to paint him some. Seth Godin just had to have that 4-foot sumo wrestler with that weird feather thing hanging below his belt. Right? One employee got sick, and Seth painted him some flowers to send to him in the hospital. Right? We took this idea to the next level. We invited Seth to come to our agency day events, where we trained agencies and creative planners about how to use word of mouth with other media forums, and Seth would join us painting all day long. And at the end of the event, instead of getting some corporate tchotchke, a stress ball or a pen, they'd each get a painting. Now, these weren't just any paintings. These were official Randy B paintings. Some people thought they were funny, others blushed, a few walked out. If you can't read this, it's probably better anyway, okay? But everybody got something. We found, we found that with every experience, this got more and more into our business. There was the time Seth took an 8-foot white canvas, put a tiny half-inch bee in the middle, and challenged our staff to sell it to the highest bidder at a holiday party. There was the time that he decided to paint all the executives in the business, and we'd use it as the bios on our blog, on our website. This is me, if you can't tell. This one actually has a lot of conference planners upset because they're looking for headshots, and all they can find is this twisted image of me. So we realized that this became part of the company. We realized that over time, this became our official artist-in-residence program. It had to be that loose. So what were the rules that made this work? The first was we were no longer bound by the idea of a blog. It was too restrictive. The time constraints, 180 days, 10 days, 90 days, it was too constrictive. And helping people become part of the process was as important as the output itself. A lot of people ask me at this stage, as CEO of this company, shouldn't you be spending your time on more important things? Right? This is an artist, right? Why are you putting this in your office and spending the time? I'd argue that culture is one of the most important things to a business's success, which makes it important enough. But there are two other reasons this really makes sense. The first is this creates word of mouth about us itself. People find out about Seth, they talk to us, they tell others. Importantly, the second reason is clients are always asking us how to make word of mouth work for themselves. And this has every element of what you need for word of mouth. It has exclusivity, uniqueness, talkability, something you can hand out to others that they can talk about, and the most important thing of all, storytelling. The more you learn about this, the more stories you want to tell somebody else about it. So we feel that we've succeeded at this in some level, unintentionally in many ways. They say that VCs like to invest in entrepreneurs that have failed at least once so they know what not to do, and we realized we needed to fail a few times to get to this stage. Now today we continue to experiment, often with mixed results, so I'll leave you with this sort of last message about what happened recently. We decided it would be fun to record Seth talking about his artwork. He talked of giant fat bees on skateboards. He talked of Tootsie Pop owls, American flags, big dogs, big eyes. And we took this recording and we put it on as our hold music. So when you call into BzzAgent, you don't hear Muzak or jazz. You hear Seth rambling about painting. Recently, a public media CEO called in for me, got put on hold. Before I could pick up, he hung up. He called right back. I picked up right away, and he's mad. He's so mad. What are you doing? You dropped me into some conference room. People are talking about giant eels and mini marshmallows, right? So I explained it to him. I said, oh, we have an artist in residence program. I told him about Seth. I told him about why we were doing this. He listened for a moment, and he hung up again. Clearly, we're working out the kinks. Thank you. Yeah. Seth Minkin.
Not work out as planned. The idea was that I was going to do a totem pole because this is very typical of the type of work that I do. Whether or not you buy into it at this point, that's entirely up to you, but that's what it's going to be. Anyway, the idea here is that this was going to be a framework or an outline to attempt to illustrate a little bit about what Dave was talking about and a little bit about what's going on in the company. So what's going on in the company? Here's this. What's this? I don't know. This is actually exactly what I'm working on right now. This section of the totem pole is a section of a painting called the Mona Lisa that I'm working on right now. Obviously not as attractive as the original, but you need to do that. So anyway, down to the next section here, this face represents the failures within the company as exhibited by this sort of sad mouth here. But these frogs in the eyes, they represent the successes that could potentially come out of this failure. Discovery. Down to the next part here, this is the happy face and the sad face. This is comedy and tragedy. So what's going on here down below in the tragedy might actually be something along the lines of having to explain to the board why resources are being used for. And then of course, this is another part here. What is it now? Well, what will it be? This will be the comedy face. This will represent the liveliness and the enthusiasm that Dave is injecting into the company. And lastly here, the skulls represent the hard work that, as if to say you're working yourself to them. So, here it is.